Do you want to share a bit more about your relationship with your mom and dad?
My relationship with my parents go to an extent. I can't expect much because if I do, I'm hurting myself at the end. My mom and my dad split when I was 2 years old, and that's when I went to go live with my grandmother. And my grandmother looked after me until the age of 7, and she passed away. So then I moved back in with my mom, and things with my mom are difficult, and I never know what I'm going to get when I go home. So there was always that thing that was pushing me away. And in that, I ran away from home, and I thought I was happy with my dad. But my dad has his own problems. And although I wish my relationship with my parents were better, it is what it is.
So what I'm really hearing you say is that emotionally you struggle to connect to your parents, or they struggle to connect to you. And that maybe they're caught up in the world of survival that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, so with my dad, I'm my dad's only child. I've never lived with him, so with him it was like he doesn't have a child. So he was never a father figure. And then when I did go live with him, it was like he would only do things to make other people happy. Like if I were out late, he wouldn't care, but because my stepmom would be like, you must shout at her, then he would come shout at me, not because he wanted to. Then with my mom, when I have an older sister, but my older sisters always lived with my grandpa, and I lived with my grandma, so that means my mom also didn't have to be a mom, Not that she didn't have to be, but she had other things that she could be. And then when my grand passed and we were all living together, it's like she knew she was a mother, but the feelings weren't there, She didn't know what I needed. And at first I didn't say anything because to me it was like, if you're happy, then I'm happy. But now I've accepted that she might never be that mother for me, and I'm okay with that. It hurts. And it hurts that my father will maybe never do what father and daughters do, but I've accepted it.
As I listen to you, I can't help but imagine of how many other homes are similar to yours, of the lack of emotional support. You see, what I've realized is I learned so much from my parents, who learned so much from their parents. And that the reason that my marriage broke down was because of my emotional dysfunctionality that I learned from my parents and I passed on to my children.
Yeah.
And it's really through this somatic relationship work that we're doing that I'm learning on how to give different emotional support to my children and in our relationship. And we come from a family where, like so many of us, emotional support is very hard or very difficult. And what I'd love you to share is how have the techniques or what you've learned from our engagement, how has that helped you?
It has. With the relationships that I had with my parents, it caused me to look for that love somewhere else. And I've been in a few bad relationships where I thought that, the man was going to solve all my problems and was going to make me feel wanted, or in my friendships even, where my sister used to say I used to buy friends, where if I could give you, they would be happy and that would just be my life, And now, with all the techniques and exercises and things like that, I feel like now I don't have to be that person, you know. I don't have to carry all that hurt and anger and put it on other people. You know?
Am I correct in saying that you have very different kind of relationships now to maybe that of your parents?
Yeah, I feel like most kids growing up, they look to their parents for support. And I have had to build my own support structure because I didn't have my parents. And you have been the pillar of my structure. But over the years, I've made friends who I can turn to when I'm sad and angry. And if the relationship is healthy, it's good for you. And I've built a lot of healthy relationships with my friends. I'm never gonna get over the rejection of my parents. And I'm learning techniques that help me have better relationships. Why am I taking part? I can just feel the tears. I'm kind of stuck right now. And I don't know, in my heart I feel like it's the right thing to do, you know. I'm interested and curious and all of that, but I feel like deep down in my heart I know I need this just as much as you do. And I feel like I also have some things I need to work through. And I feel like the podcast is a perfect way for me to go through my feelings, you know, because I'm comfortable with speaking to you and it just felt right.
And for me, the reason why it is important is because so often there's a generational gap.
Yeah.
And so I'm wanting this to be both about the older and the younger.
Mm-hmm.
And so often there are cultural gaps.
Yeah.
And so I'm wanting this to be about all cultures and every cultures.
Mm.
But more importantly, so often I can become serious.
Mm-hmm.
And you remind me about fun. And so I'm hoping that by having you here, it also becomes more fun.
Yeah.
And that there's this beautiful, warm, rich exchange that can inspire others out there to change, to grow, to explore their emotions, to see the beauty and richness that happens when we allow our hearts to open to this wonderful flow of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Nikita, thank you. That was beautiful.
Yes, Uncle.
Anything else for now?
No.
Thank you. You're very brave.
I am.
You're very brave and courageous to share so beautifully and vulnerably.
Had the best teacher.
Ah, thank you.